I don't mean to be so uptight, but my heart's been hurt a couple times by a couple guys that didn't treat me right. I ain't gonna lie, I ain't gonna lie.
Alexa, play Meant to Be.
Okay.
If it's meant to be, it'll be, it'll be. Baby, just let it be. If it's meant to be, it'll be.
With Amazon Music, a voice is all you need. Get access to over 50 million songs. Download the Amazon Music app today.
You are live at the Literary Lounge with your host, Destinee D, bringing you the newest and the brightest of the literary world right to your ear hole. Every Saturday from 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tune in, listen up, and learn something. This is the spot for new hot authors who are given the opportunity to shine. Each Saturday from 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will showcase a new author here at the Literary Lounge. We are taking out the time to give all of our literary friends an opportunity to showcase their work. The New Author Spotlight is a platform that allows us to ask up to 10 questions or more to give you, the audience, the most in-depth current information about each writer in their literary piece. We will have a new guest every week. Stay tuned. Hey, it's your girl Destinee D live on WTLR Radio. And today's date is December 1st, 2018. And this is episode 28. And we have a special situation today. We have a young man by the name of Robert Graham Jr., who is a part of the inmate outreach program that I have with Transparency Library. And he has a new release that he has just came out with that was published by us. And we're going to have a 1-hour interview, not with him, but with his agent, Miss Deidra Cade. So we want you to stick around so you can get some information about him, his new book, some contact information as far as where you can find his work and things like that. And we're going to get underway in just a moment. So you guys stick around. It's going to be interesting. All right. Hello, Deidra. Are you there? Hey, sweetheart. How are you?
I'm fine. How
All
are
right.
you?
I'm doing well. So as you know, the Literary Lounge is the host for 1-hour interviews with different authors who have new stuff out. And we wanted to give Robert an opportunity to showcase some of his work and stuff like that. So what I would like to do first is for you to do a formal introduction of yourself and also an introduction of Robert Graham.
Okay, well, my name is Deidra Cade. I am his agent and co-founder of Grandma Writings, which he is also a co-founder as well. Robert Graham is an author who's from Florence, South Carolina, but he's currently incarcerated at Perry Correctional Institution. Writing has been his focus for a while. Like, he was writing before I actually connected with him. He had written over 14 books, and we've just only published 2 of them, which is Pimpin' Preacher and Power of a Woman. Pimpin' Preacher, when it's first published, was a compilation of 2 short stories. One was Pimpin' Preacher and the other was The Peeping Tom. And that later evolved into the Pimpin' Preacher saga, and that was published by Transparency Library. You get a compilation of the first, second, and third installments of Pimpin' Preacher.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about the actual book. What is the overall synopsis of the book?
Basically, the book follows the pastor, Pastor Kesley. He finds himself in the first part of the book being caught up in a web, not of his own doing, but he basically gets caught up in fraud. But what he doesn't realize is that the person that he goes to for help is the very person who orchestrated it. So what you see through first 2 and 3 is how he deals with the situation and how he not only tries to save himself but save his family as well, and tries to free himself from his own demons and the demon that is the person who orchestrated the situation in the first place. So for the first one and the second and third one, you will get to see how that story evolves.
Right. Yeah. I thought it was a very interesting story as I, did the publishing for it. There was definitely a lot of twists and turns and a lot of relative, information in the book. And if I'm not mistaken, didn't he not say that some of this book was based on true life events, but just the names were changed, just things that he witnessed over time?
Oh, he didn't. Was he
still there? Okay, it sounds like we lost Deidra, but that's
Hello?
okay. Oh, there you go.
Sorry,
all right, so we had lost
you
for a few seconds.
But yeah, I was saying that he's drawing from a lot of things he, I guess, witnessed in the church. I don't think he's witnessed this exact story, but being in the church and being under the tutelage, I think he said Bishop T.D. Jakes, that he was seeing a lot of things that a lot of people that we know have seen in the spotlight. A lot of the things that he's seen behind the scenes were not right. So this book kind of draws from some of those things, and and then we ourselves, the general public, has seen a lot of scandals and things that go down with pastors and different churches.
Oh, yeah. That is so true, because, we were having a conversation about something similar to that the other day, about how Bishop Eddie Long, everybody, praised him, but he was a pedophile. You have, the Roman Catholic Church that has brought up ministers in that type of lifestyle where sodomy is okay, and they didn't even know it was wrong because that's how they were raised in the, system, as far as going from altar boy to pastor or what cardinal or whatever you want to call it. So, yeah, we've noticed over time that there's corruption everywhere, not only in the government but also in the, religion realm as well. And it's funny that you should mention that he was under T.D. Jakes, because at one point I was actually listening to T.D. Jakes myself. Whenever you couldn't make it to regular worship service, you want to try to get some type of a message when you don't go. So what I decided to do was to watch, the TV evangelist, which was probably the worst mistake that I could have possibly made because those live stream preachers are not all that they are cracked up to be. I've seen so many different, like you said, scandals when it comes to those people, these mega churches and stuff like that. I mean, I think it's ridiculous how they can take people tax returns and tell them this is how much you owe the church, and if you don't pay it, you can't be a member.
Yeah, I don't understand that part either. But we allow it, though.
Well, I did a piece. I did a piece in Transparency Library Magazine, TL Monthly. I did a piece, and it was talking about what's the other guy, Joel Osteen. And I'm like, he has a plane, he has a yacht, he has a multi-million-dollar house, but his congregation has none of those things. And I'm like, why would you like? How does it feel to know that the person that is overseeing your faith base is living 50 times better than you? And I'm like, he's living off of your money, like. And then
it's not just that. Like, we also have to realize that a lot of these mega pastors are also businessmen. So while they're not giving their church the tools to live like they do, because they are businessmen first. Like, the church might have started out as something pure or whatever. It's been corrupted. Like, they are businessmen first, and they have their built-in network because these people, they look up to them and they worship them. So anything they want to sell or anything, they have their built-in network to do so, and that helps them make even more money, and we don't realize that. And then also, like, with the situation with Ed Alone, people don't realize, like, just as the police have a fraternal order, and that pastoral setup, they have a fraternal order too. That's why they look out and protect each other. And that's why Creflo Dollar was trying to send his people back to Eddie Long Church. He was telling them to go back to that church, even because your pastor just had a little wreck. That's not a little wreck. You done wrecked these children's lives for the rest of their lives. That's not something. That's not no lightweight thing. And it was just sad and crazy to me how people were still going. It's like sometimes when people be in the church, they lose a lot of their reasoning, and they see this person as some type of celebrity. We have the celebrity worship, then we put them over regular people. And I look at the same situation. It's the same situation to me as with R. Kelly. Like, we've been letting him get away with so much stuff. And that's because there's this celebrity worship that kind of trumps everything and trumps all logic and reasoning. Like, they should not have been allowed to get away with stuff that they've been getting away with.
Right, and like how you were saying, like how you were saying, as far as them getting away with, taking people money and all that stuff. I had a quote that said, "The church is the only place that a person can get robbed and don't call the police," and it's so true, because it's so true to every letter of the word, because, like, anybody that has studied, the word of the Most High and has realized that tithes is not money, realize that they're getting duped every time they drop money in the plate. Now, offering is different. When you give an offering, you're giving what your heart leads you to give. That's what they're supposed to use to keep the church going, to pay the light bills, to do other things with, to help other people that's in need. Tithes is actually food. You're supposed to bring all the tithes into the storehouse. And I keep telling people, a storehouse only holds food for times that are rough or hard, when you are not on the up and up. You ought to be able to go back to the church, go to the pantry and say, well, I gave, 50 cans of vegetables or something like that when I had a good time. Can I get about 2 or 3 of them back? You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Every 10 cans, you give 1. So it's like people don't realize that. So when they say tithes and offerings, they walking around in the church giving up money when that's not what he asked of them. That's what the preacher asked of them. Right. And then it's like, and you have some pastors that's like, well, this was for the love offering. Now we doing one for the building fund. And then I need you to sow $1,000 seed. You gonna get it back.
Yeah,
the Lord gonna bless you back. But they getting the money, and I'm like, where's your millions? Where's your mansion? Where's your yacht? You know what I'm saying? You seeing the person that you giving all of your money to with all these things, but you're not getting it. So I'm like, well, why would you do that? And, you know, and T.D. Jakes messed me up one particular Sunday. I'll never forget it because he had the nerve to come out of his mouth saying that Jesus was the best product that could ever be sold because it sells itself.
Well, he was 100% correct. It's wrong,
you know,
but he was 100% correct.
Right, so I'm sitting there and I'm like, did he just say that? And then I'm sitting up there, I'm like, well, maybe he was just, you know, and then I was like, no, he meant every letter of the word. And like you said, if they're businessmen first, the first thing they're going to say is, well, all of my money doesn't come from the church. But that's a lie because when your fan base is your congregation and you got a mega church and it's like 50 to 75,000 people in your church and everybody buy a book, you know what I'm saying? That's money. True enough, you did it because you wrote a book, but you're leading people to believe that whatever that's in that book is the gospel, and it's going to help them in some kind of way, and you feeding the pastor away from whatever money that you give. But these people are not asking for like $5 or $10 or whatever your heart can give. They asking for you to sow $1,000 seed. Who got that kind of money? And then if they did have it, they own a fixed income. And then when their lights is cut off and they go to the church and say, Pastor, I need some help. My light's about to get cut off. I'm about to lose my house. What happens? They lose the house and the lights get cut off. You feel me? So it's like there's no help for them. But I man, I'm trying to tell you, this is a subject that needs to be a light shined on it because there is a lot of hypocritical pastors. Like I got a book that's getting ready to drop as soon as I can get it typed up, and it's called The Pastor Side Piece. And this is based on true events of how a pastor in my local area had the audacity to have his side piece sitting on the front row while his wife was. Now, apparently, you know, it got to, you know, the congregation as to who she was and why she was listening to the pastor every Sunday and was on the front row every Sunday. So once the congregation found out, they made the pastor leave, you know, because they knew that what he was doing was wrong. Now, most times you have congregations that just follow suit, that don't say nothing, that just allow whatever to happen because we need a pastor. And if we don't have a pastor, what we going to do? Well, the church going to close, or either we have to pay somebody to come. And I'm like, you should never have to pay a man of God to come anywhere when it comes to what he has said that his life was converted for. A lot of people think that they have to pay the pastor because he's providing a service. And I'm like, it doesn't work like that. I mean, I get what they're saying, but it's not supposed to be like that. It's supposed to be where he has his own source of income outside of the church. He should not look for any. Now, most people look at me like I'm crazy. Yeah, but a lot of people look at me like I'm crazy for saying these things, but I'm like, it's the truth. And if you really do a fact check, you can find out for yourself. Like, what happened the last time people was trying to make money in the church? The Messiah came in there and tore everything up. He beat them up, kicked them out, flipped tables and everything because they was stealing in the church. You see what I'm saying?
Pharisees.
So,
people say that and they read it every Sunday, but it doesn't click.
It don't register. It don't register. And like I said, when and it's crazy how you can read something, Malachi 3:8, when he said, "Bring all the tithes into the storehouse." It's like the pastors have gotten to the point to where they have manipulated the people to think that don't nobody farm anymore, so you can't bring food or animals for sacrifice or anything like that, that times have changed. And I'm like, dude, it's a grocery store on every block. You don't have to grow it to send it. It could be canned food. Yeah. It could be box food. It could be non-perishable items. The grocery stores sell that every day. Walmart sell it 24 hours a day. You know what I'm saying? So they want to make out like you can't turn that type of stuff in because times have changed. You have to come up with the times, and instead of bringing...
the laws have changed. That's the thing. Those laws are in the regulations.
His law hasn't changed. The Bible hasn't changed.
Yeah.
The man has changed some things around.
Recognized as a church, yeah, because that 5013C registration comes with some type of limitation as far as if you want to be recognized as a church from like the Catholic Church. There are rules and regulations that you must follow to be to keep that standing.
Yeah,
but like
that's
still,
the crazy
you have some churches that still they will have people bring food and they give out food to the neighborhood. And even if you want to keep the tithes and offerings, like this, the thing is, you're supposed to be the source for that community. You see a lot of neighborhoods that are run down, crime infested, but they have like I don't know how many churches there. So the church is not effective. You're not doing any good in your community if this is the state of it.
Out thing. Yeah, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly with you. And that's the way that it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be almost like a youth center or a safe haven for those who lived in the area that church was. But you got more people who turn a blind eye to what's going on around them until it affects them directly. Like you have people who can see, they can see the crime, they can see the death, they can see, the abductions and all of that stuff, and they turn a blind eye. It's like it don't affect them until it's their niece
because that's also
or their nephew or their son or something, and it's like, well, y'all need to do something. You could have did something when you saw the man holding the gun on the corner. Or pushing drugs on the street corner. You could have said something. You could have did something. You could have formulated a neighborhood watch. You could have looked out for your niece that got raped. You could have looked out for your nephew that got shot. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't say, well, it's your responsibility, not mine. No, if it's your area, if it's your neighborhood, everybody is responsible because they always said. A village.
We used to have that.
It's a village.
But there's no village no more. There's no village no more, and everybody gets mad at the old lady that's in their business. And the younger parents, you see, there's a disconnect there. There's a disconnect between the older generation and the younger, and then you have this generation in between that had some semblance of a village left. And so it's like, we kind of like fail to keep traditions alive, and like now you have people running up in old people's house, knocking off old people. And it's like there's no code for anything anymore. Everything is like it's upside down.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Because but believe it or not, it still holds true. Because my grandmother, God bless her. She's 87 years old, and she is that staple in this community. And all of my family actually lives on one street, believe it or not. We stuck to the code as far as the village. And it's like my uncle, my grandma, my mom, my sister, cousins, uncle, cousins, aunt. We're all on the same road. So it's like you go between 7 houses, you still at home. And we stay true to the customs and stuff like that because all our family came from the reservation. So when one moved, we all moved. And that's just how we kept it going. And it just so happened that, everybody is still okay. Everybody is here, still kicking, still vibing, and we try to do as much as we can for each other. So it does help when you have
a lot of families lack.
Yeah, I do agree with that. You do have some that moved away because they didn't want to live in the country and stuff like that, but it's quiet here, But I guarantee you if anybody try to run up in my grandma's house, they're going to run out because she keep a weapon in every room.
Right.
Yeah, she on point, and she can tell you what's going on down at the bottom of the road even if we can't see it. So,
that's that old school.
Yes, that's why I was like, you hit the nail on the head because my grandma do that all the time. And, sometimes she might say something might rub you wrong, but she's saying it out of love, and she's saying it because she knows, because she's been here 87 years. She's got the pearls of wisdom that she can drop on you. Now, if you got an attitude, that's on you, but at the end of the day, she only telling you things that's beneficial, to keep you out of harm's way. Because, like, I never forget it. Like, I had a situation with the church that I used to go to with them. And when she realized what the church did to me, she stopped tithing out of retaliation. You know what I'm saying? Like, my grandma go hard. So she was like, you ain't getting a dime of my money. You treat my grandbaby like that, So I'm like, so I'd be like, and from time to time, like when I get an opportunity to like, tell my family different things that I've learned over time, and once I show it to them and allow them to make their own assessment of what I've shown them, it's like they hear it, but they don't apply it. So I'm like, okay, if I tell you that this is not the way that it's supposed to be, and every time you go on a Sunday you worshiping the sun god, you're not acknowledging the true Sabbath day, and Jesus is not his name, because the letter J is only 300 years old, and he was dead and gone for 2,000 years, so it couldn't have been his name. They're looking at me like the information that I'm giving them is fact-checked, and they read it, they see it, they understand it, but then they pile right up in the van on Sunday morning, go straight back to the church like I had never said a word. Because they've been programmed to do it.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a condition. It's something that they have just gotten used to doing, and they just don't stop. It's like, I stopped because I saw, like I said, the corruption that was going on, the pastors with the side pieces, the deacon with the pastor's wife, and female deacons, which is not even a thing, but they have those now. You got gay pastors that's sleeping with the choir director. You got thieves, you know what I'm saying? They just had a couple that just got arrested not too long ago for stealing millions of dollars from the church. Or either taking money and using it for whatever they want to use it for, and not for what it was specified to be used for. Now, I see many plates right around churches and stuff like that talking about this is when it's for the building fund, and you ain't even changed the light bulb. Same bulb is out.
Yeah.
For the you know what I'm saying? They haven't did anything as far as using it for what they said they're grabbing it for, but they want you to believe that that's what you're doing. You're maintaining what's already there, you know. And I'm like, I don't understand how people can blindly follow, without even kicking against the system. But I'm gonna leave that alone, because every time I get to a subject similar to this, I can go on for days. But what I want to do,
we have to realize that corruption comes from the top down. Because if you look at how the Pope is living and all the people in the Vatican, when they walk around, they have these chains of gold, and the whole Vatican, they have like ceilings and stuff made out of gold and precious stones, but they can go to an impoverished land, but then tell the people, okay, well, such and such is happening here, so you need to be more charitable. How about you sell some of the stuff that you got on, because you're right in the midst of everything. You see it, but you won't do the simplest thing, like give up your gold to feed all those children that you see with their bellies extended because they're starving. Like, there's a disconnect, and that trickles from the top down. And if the top is still programming people from the top in the beginning, that's how they act, you're going to see it towards the bottom. That's just all it is, until people come up with the new system and more people start to disconnect from church as it is. It's going to continue to be as it is.
Right, and then you, like how you said, the Vatican has a lot of stuff, but they don't want it to be known, because there's a lot of artwork, there's a lot of gold, there's a lot of stuff that they seized from other countries. So don't think that they accumulated that on their own. This is stuff that they stole and pillaged and kept. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people, when they hear the word Illuminati, they think bad, white, 1%ers. But the true Illuminati, or the Illuminati ones, were actually the people who got the opportunity to sit at the feet of all of the tribal members who had every last story about what should have been in the Bible and mathematics and medicine and all of those different
science.
things right, science, all of that stuff that we hold true as far as like astrology and all of that stuff. They sat at the feet of these illumined ones and they learned everything. And they took tablets, they took books and everything that these higher powered people gave them, not knowing that the people were going to take it and put it under lock and key and then force feed all kinds of garbage. And you have to remember, like, a lot of these books that we read, the Bible, the Quran, the Torah, all of these books are just derivatives of one huge book of life. But they're only giving you certain segments to go on. There's no such thing as religion. To
program you?
Yeah, there's no such thing as religion. You can't take one big book and break it down into 5 books or 6 books and say, well, we don't believe in the Trinity. Well, we don't believe that you should eat pork. Well, we don't believe this and that. And I'm like, it's only one way. It's only one way. So it's like, as long as you're on a spiritual path to where your negativity is outweighed by your positivity, then you're on the right path. You know what I'm saying? As far as making it on the other side. That's if you believe in the other side. So it's like you have a lot of people who don't know the truth, and you have all of these transliterations. You have all of this extra stuff that people have put in. You have all this other stuff that people done took out. You know, so it's like, how do you honestly know what's what unless you have it from the source? And that's why I say the hieroglyphics, or if you're enlightened, the Meta-Netra, that is the only true testament that holds true to this day, that has not been alterated, that has not been changed, because it's etched in stone. At least those ancestors were smart enough to etch it in stone where it could not be picked up, stolen, taken away, washed over, or whatnot. It's still good. It's preserved. They trying, but it's still fully preserved. And like those stories are the only ones that people should actually hold true to, because they have not been transliterated. They have not been translated. They haven't been touched or manipulated in any kind of way. So those should be the stories that we really take heed to. Because, like, you think about it, when you look at the King James Version of the Bible, it's just what King James decided he wanted scribes to write. You don't know any effect of whether or not, if those are true accounts. You don't know anything because you wasn't there. So it's like, how do you base your whole line of faith on something that you can't prove, but they said this happened? Like, there's sections in the Bible right now to this day where it said tell slaves. Like, it was built for the sharecroppers and the slave owners, telling the slave to be faithful to their master and don't run and do this and do that and be diligent. And if you don't, you can lashes or you can. Yeah, so it's like they put that in there to help, like, congregate slavery. And I'm like, that's crazy. And then what else is crazy is that I just seen this thing. I know I'm going into a whole other realm, but I just saw this thing where they was trying to find documentation of the transatlantic slave trade, right? Mm-hmm. And they were saying how they wanted to prove that, I guess, the Hebrew Israelites or African Americans as we know it are not natives of this land, which is bull, because we were the indigenous people here in North America. So it's like,
right.
how do you take what we know, as far as we could go back as far as our great grandmama, and none of them was in Africa. You know what I'm saying? They were here. Mm-hmm. They were either on reservations or either they were just here. So it's like, how do you say that we are? Right. But what I'm saying is they tried to make it out like every black person came from Africa. No, there were people in the U.S. before the U.S. was even named. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, why would you make us believe that we're just slave-minded or slaves, period? But what people fail to realize is that what they did was they took indigenous people from here and put them on boats and took them to Europe. And then when they transported them from Europe to Africa, they brought them back from Africa to America as slaves. But they weren't slaves. They were captive, sent to Europe, brought to Africa, then brought through a slave trade. But they were not slaves. They were indigenous people. So it's like, how do you take everything? Like, I honestly don't understand how the school,
because some of us I think are derived from here, but like some of them come from Africa. Like specifically,
right.
you can trace. Like science doesn't lie. It can trace where you
but
come
I mean,
from.
you know
all of
who
humanity comes.
Well, to a certain degree, everybody is derived from the same area per se, because at one time, you know, the world was Pangea. So it was all connected to the point to where what we see as the United States is being actually West Africa, if you want to take it that far back. But, you know, when the continent started to drift apart, then that's when it went from one landmass to, you know, what we have now. But I still think it's crazy how the school system can continue to get our kids to learn these different things, and then once they get out of school in 12th grade and they start to go to college and they take a Black history class and they find out that everything that they learned over the last 12 years was bogus, and then they have to pay for a college tuition just to learn the real truth about what went on and all of that stuff. I think that's messed up. And I think that it's not fair to, you know, the parents who have to pay. But I do want to take one little short break and come right back. And then what I want to do is I want to get some information from you as far as the release of the book and also some contact information. So I need you to hold on the line for me for just a moment, okay? This is the spot for new hot authors who are given the opportunity to shine. Each Saturday from 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will showcase a new author here at the Literary Lounge. We are taking out the time to give all of our literary friends an opportunity to showcase their work. The New Author Spotlight is a platform that allows us to ask up to 10 questions or more to give you, the audience, the most in-depth current information about each writer in their literary piece. We will have a new guest every week. Stay tuned. All right, guys, this is your girl, Destinee D, and we are live on WTLR Radio, and you are listening to the Literary Lounge. And today's date is December 1st, 2018, and we have a young lady on the line by the name of Miss Deidra Cade, and she is the representative for our special guest for today, Mr. Robert Graham Jr. He is the author of the new book, The Pimpin' Preacher, and he was published by Transparency Library, and this is episode 28. So I wanted to actually take a moment to let everybody know about the situation that Robert has when it comes to his book. So I want to be able to allow Miss Deidra to come in on that note as well. Let's see if she's still here. Deidra, are you still here? Deidra, you still there? Okay, so I think we've lost Deidra, but that's okay because I'm aware of all of the information that needs to be provided. So basically what I wanted – oh, good. What I wanted to go into as far as Robert's new book was all of these stuff that he has going on right now. So can you tell the listeners, like, what he has in store for the remainder of the year, possibly 2019, what he got going on?
Well, what he has going on surrounding the Pimpin Preacher saga, where right now it's supposed to be working with some producers out of New Orleans to get it turned into, well, right now they're trying to shoot a trailer to kind of possibly jumpstart it into a movie if they're going to pitch it, I think, at the Sundance Film Festival to try to get a big movie deal from it. It is also kind of played with the idea of pitching it to Netflix for like a series. So that's what he has going on with that.
Okay. So, as his agent, do you have anything that you're planning on doing in the near future, like any events where you might sell some of his books or anything at this point?
Well, right now I'm looking to contact several bookstores of just the books that we've published, period, to try to get more visibility for the clients that's on our roster, which includes him. So that's the move for the remainder of this year and next year.
Okay, so before we go, what I want you to do is I want you to give all of your contact information as far as like website, social media, and all that good stuff, like where we can find you guys to get in contact with Robert, or also anything that you would like the listeners to know.
Okay, you can find us on Facebook, their Grandma Series, like facebook.com/Grandma Series. Our Instagram is Grandma Book Series. Let me double check right there. But we're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. It's Grandma Book Series on Instagram. And to contact Robert, you can send an email to grandmaseries@gmail.com. And address, I have that as well. I guess if you send the inbox to Transparent Lab, wherever, you can get those details. We'll get them to you, because I don't have that right now.
No problem. Do you have a website yet?
No, we're just functioning on the one on Facebook because that's where we get the most interaction. So until we can build the website to where we want it to be, we're just kind of keeping it there because that's where people go and contact us and stuff. So we haven't made that transition over yet. Okay, so as of right now, where can we find Robert's book as far as to purchase a copy, and how much is it being sold for? Amazon.com. You can find most of his books there. They're $10.95 for the Pimpin Preacher. And if you want Private Woman, which is another book he has, it's $5.99. Okay. So, what would you say? What would be your sales pitch as far as trying to get somebody to buy the Pimpin Preacher novel? Could you repeat that? I had. Like if you were trying to get someone to purchase the Pimpin Preacher novel, what would you tell them to get them to buy it? Amazon. You can go on Amazon.com. No, baby. Your sales pitch. Like, what would you say to somebody to intrigue them into buying the book? Basically, if you're if you like drama, if you're a reader that likes drama and resolution, and if you're like reading books that are in the spiritual realm, then I would say Pimpin' Preacher is the one you should get. But also, like, it's not just about drama. It's also about life lessons that you will learn from reading the story as you see how each character evolves.
Right, right.
Yeah, but you can find it on Amazon.
So what I want to do right now is I want to actually thank you for taking out the time for doing this interview and everything. I know that you're a very busy woman. So I was pleasantly surprised that you actually did have an hour where you could get on the radio and actually speak to us today. Because normally we get maybe about like 5 minutes of a text when it it comes to availability, because I know you work real hard. And what exactly do you do, if you don't mind me asking?
What don't I do? I am a research scientist through the week, and outside of that, like, I do a lot of the day-to-day business operation, but I also like work as like U.S. operations for this company in Nigeria. And then also outside of that, I have like some investment club affiliations. So like I do have like a lot going on. But it's best for me to be busy than idle.
Right, that is so true. That is so true. So, if you would like to give any shout outs or if any announcements that you'd like to make, you can do so at this time.
I would like to give a shout out to all our clients on Grandma Writings, and a special shout out to Robert Graham Jr. Keep up the good work, and special thanks to Transparency Library for all that you do for us. And that's all.
No problem. And like I said, I thank you for taking out the time and being on the show, and really appreciate you doing what you're doing for him. I'm pretty sure that he appreciates all your due diligence, and you make things a whole lot better for him when it comes to handling business on the outside, because I know it's very difficult when you have someone who's incarcerated and you're having to be, the ace in the hole.
We have about 7.
Right. And I have probably about the same amount of people who are incarcerated through the inmate outreach program. And so I definitely know the frustration. Like, I just had to ship 3 books to 3 different people because they don't allow you to have more than 1 book. There's so many different
rules are so crazy.
Yeah, there's so many obstacles when it comes to working with them, but it's all to the greater good, because with our program, what we try to do is we try to get 100% of their proceeds from their royalties back to them so that it can help them with their commissary, because a lot of these writers are lifers, and most family members disown them, to the point to where they don't send them money for the phone, they don't send them money for commissary, they don't even bother to call, they don't write, so they just tell the babies, Daddy went away, or Daddy's dead, or Daddy went to school, or Daddy went to the store to get some milk. So it's like you have these people who are incarcerated. Some that did not even do the crime, because I've seen more exoneration cases lately due to the fact that the DNA that they had took back in the 80s and the 70s and stuff, they didn't have processed. So a lot of people are being exonerated for crimes that they never committed.
Yeah, a lot of our issues don't really come from the prisoners themselves. It's just the officials, and sometimes they intentionally make it harder for them because they fear a lot of information and things that are going on there getting out. Because we have this one client that was incarcerated where Aaron Hernandez died, and that whole facility, like they transfer him now because they didn't like some of the stuff that he wrote before that were published, but it told a lot of things. It gave people insight as to how bad things are within those walls.
Right,
it's
right,
crazy.
and I think that's part of why they had that lockdown in South Carolina a couple of months back, because they had people who could show proof that those guards did not perform their duties as far as crowd control, that they allowed what took place down there in South Carolina to take place, and they had documentation of how the guards stood down. They was given the command to stand down and to allow whatever happened to happen, and that's why they had so many people to die. So when they found out that they had people that was in there that had phones, they shut everything down, and they strip searching everybody. They wanted to find out who leaked that information, and they did they locked down every prison in the South because they wanted to find out how in the world they were able to tell those things or to get their story out to the public, because we wouldn't have never known the truth if it hadn't been for an inmate telling it.
Right.
And it's like, it's crazy that they would have tried to cover all of that stuff up because they thought it was in-house. But you have, like you said, more corruption in-house than you have out on the street. And most of the prisoners have more of a conscience than the ones that's running it.
Right.
Like I was just talking to one guy, how he was saying how the female guards was, you know, trying to have relationships and stuff with these people because they
do that.
You know what I'm saying? And then I know two women personally who got caught up by messing with the prisoners and stuff like that and lost their job. Went and got married to the man and ended up losing their job. So it's like you have so many different things that go on with the penal system, and like I said, there's people in there who didn't commit a crime. I have a good friend of mine. Her fiance was in prison for 37 years, and him and his brother, and they never committed the crime. And it's crazy because they gave him all of this money and let him out. And
it's not enough.
And it's like they think that just by giving them the money that was going to suffice for 37 years of lost time. And I'm like, that's beyond crazy that they can think that. And it's like the younger brother did not make it out of prison unscathed because he was sodomized and stuff like that. He was only 13 when they locked him up in adult prison, which was against the law to start with because he was only 13 years of age. Like, he was supposed to either be sent to a youth camp or put somewhere where he had to turn 18 and then go into a regular populated type of area. But they put him in prison. And like I said, he got sodomized and stuff like that. So it got to the point to where he was so affected by what they did to him in prison that he shut down. Like, he got mental disorders. He got issues that he will never fix. You know what I'm saying? And these people think that a dollar sign is going to fix that. That boy can't even spend his money because he doesn't have the right mindset to even manage his money. And it's like, then they have somebody overseeing it to give him a stipend. And if all he wants is a cream soda, that's all they're going to give him. Who else? Who gets the rest of the money? You see what I'm saying? So it's like, it's so crazy that, you know, this system is the way that it is, and I feel bad for those who have been incarcerated and have been given life sentences for a crime that's not even befitting the punishment. Like, you got felonious. Well, it could be considered a felony, but you have people who got time for life for something that didn't even. It wasn't murder. It wasn't a capital crime to the point where a life was taken. You know, and it's like they got time on top of time. Like, I think it's so crazy because, like, I have a friend of mine that has 77 years over his head for robbery. And I'm like, how do you get 77 years? How do you get 77 years for robbery? Like, I could see if you had, like, 10 bodies from a mass shooting. That I could see 77 years for. You talking about hitting Walmart for a couple of $100, hitting Family Dollar for maybe like a headset and some bubble gum. That don't make sense. But see, the judges that do these things, are are trying to make an example out of you. They're throwing their weight around, they're throwing their power around when they're not supposed to. But I noticed that some things are changing when it comes to the court system, because I don't know whether or not if you heard, but there's a lot of things going on within the courts now that's almost putting everybody out. In West Virginia, the whole entire Supreme Court justice system, all of the Supreme justices got impeached in West Virginia, and it was because of being bribed, given more time than what was required, money laundering. It was a whole bunch of different schemes and stuff that they had going on. Like they had deals with the attorneys to say, all you got to do is stand there. You ain't even got to represent them. You just be here as his counsel, and you can botch his case. We just want him off the street. I give you this much money for taking the case. I get this much money for getting them off the street, because whoever that's paying me to get them off the street is going to take their place. So there's a lot of corruption and stuff that's going on. And I think that all of that should be, discussed and stuff like that. So with that being said, you have a few minutes to do like your closing statement if you would like, and you can go ahead on and do that now.
Okay. Well, since we were talking about the prison system, I guess I should tell everybody to be on the lookout for Robert's future book that's coming out soon called The Reinstitution of Modernized Slavery Through the Penal Justice System, and it speaks on that very subject as well as kind of enlightens people about his own case. So just look for that book coming out, and everybody, just go on Amazon and you can find the Pimpin' Preacher book there if you want to purchase it. And thank you for listening.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. And like I said, this show would not be anything if you guys don't call in and let us know what's going on in the world and what's going on with your books and stuff like that. So thank you so much for coming. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, okay?
Me too. All right.
All right. Take care. All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.
You are live at the Literary Lounge with your host, Destinee D, bringing you the newest and the brightest of the literary world right to your ear hole. Every Saturday from 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tune in, listen up, and learn something.
All right, guys. On December 8th, 2018, we're going to have our special guest as none other than Miss Shelly Lee. So if you guys are not doing anything on Saturday, please tune in so that you can hear her live. And if
this is the spot for new hot authors who are given the opportunity to shine. Each Saturday from 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will showcase a new author here at the Literary Lounge. We are taking out the time to give all of our literary friends an opportunity to showcase their work. The New Author Spotlight is a platform that allows us to ask up to 10 questions or more to give you, the audience, the most in-depth current information about each writer in their literary piece. We will have a new guest every week. Stay tuned.
I don't mean to be so uptight, but my heart's been hurt a couple times by a couple guys that didn't treat me right. I ain't gonna lie, ain't gonna lie.
Alexa, play Meant to Be.
Okay.
If it's meant to be, it'll be, it'll be. Baby, just let it be. If it's meant to be, it'll be.
With Amazon Music, a voice is all you need. Get access to over 50 million songs. Download the Amazon Music app today.
I wanna feel the heat with somebody. Yeah, I wanna dance with somebody. With somebody who loves me. Ooh, ooh.
Alexa, play Whitney Houston.
Okay.
I wanna dance with somebody. I wanna feel the heat with somebody.
With Amazon Music, a voice is all you need. Get access to over 50 million songs. Download the Amazon Music app today.